We are live, and now we're going to go live over on Instagram. Go live on Instagram. Yay! We are live on Instagram as
Excellent.
well. Well, awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you all for tuning in to Coaching Conversations again. I've got another lovely conversation going on today with Elis Salamone Fernandez Payne. And we'll talk about all those names I hear there, Miss Elis. She is another beautiful coach from my coaching community. We were part of the first Hello 7 cohort. And I like to have these conversations, ones because it's my strength. I love connecting and talking with
Mhm.
beautiful people. And then also as an opportunity for you out there, my audience and Elisa's audience, to hear some different perspectives, some other coaches and what they're offering and the services and what they do and how they show up in the world so that it might help serve you as well. So, Elise, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. We've been doing a lot of talking behind the scenes. So some of that might make its way if we get clearance to share.
Yeah.
But at least I always like to start this out by asking, how do you show up in the world?
Oh, thank you for that question. So, how I show up in the world as a Puerto Rican mother, daughter, business
Love it.
owner, a veteran of 27 years in the military, both Air Force and Army, also a combat vet, and professionally, not just a business owner, but also a nurse practitioner. That's really my trade.
Man, girl, that sounds like you got a hell of a cape. A hell of a cape. Big There's so much to unpack there. Wow. So you're Puerto Rican. I don't know that I realized that. So we
Mm-hmm.
had a graduation and everything in Puerto Rico. So you were
Yes,
home.
I was
You were home.
home. I was
Do you go
home.
back
Yeah.
there often?
Oh, this could go in a totally different story, but I was born there, and then my mom brought us to the States, and I grew up in Connecticut from the age
Oh,
of 5 on. So, I consider Connecticut the East Coast home, even though I live on the West Coast now.
mhm.
But yeah, it's funny because I hadn't been to Puerto Rico for a really long time, and all of a sudden, in the last 2 years, because of Hello 7, I've been there twice in like the last couple of years. And then, and actually, just about a month ago, I also realized that my father had retired and he is living on the island. So that's a crazy story, but yeah. And I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. I wish I had realized that in January, but yeah.
Oh, then you could have visited.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I can imagine how that goes, especially
Yeah.
if he's an elder, because I live
Hmm.
with my mom right now, and woo, that communication. Never a dull moment. Let's say that. Let's just say that. So Puerto Rican, you're a veteran. Not only are you a veteran, you are a combat veteran. Do you want to speak
Hmm.
a little bit about that? Like, what's
Yeah. So I spent, I've been in nursing since the late early 90s, and I joined the army right out of high school, and then did 3 years, got out, got married, went to nursing school, and then came back in the Army Reserves. But I really missed being on active duty, and which is how I ended up in the Air Force. And to make a long story short, I, traveled all over with the Air Force, trained, and then in 2011, Afghanistan was pretty kicking up pretty good, and
Mhm.
I got sent to Afghanistan to deploy with Army Special Forces,
Mm.
and I was there as a female treatment team provider. So basically, wanting for us to take care of the local women. And my
Oh,
specialty is women's health. That's my nurse practitioner specialty. And yeah, I was there for, I think I was gone for almost a year,
uh-huh.
and saw some stuff, did some good work, and then came back and got promoted to lieutenant colonel shortly after that.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and then I retired in 2014 from the Air Force, and started living my civilian life.
I love that. What was that transition like retiring? Because like you said, you missed
Mhm.
being in the military. And so now
Yeah.
going back to civilian
Civilian.
life first,
Yes.
what was that like for you?
It's been a really interesting transition. I'm a very, I like to say yes to a lot of things.
Hmm.
But so I've had a couple of different civilian jobs, and I have found in between two particular jobs, I was out of work for about 6 months, and I took that time to kind of get involved with a lot of different veteran organizations,
Yeah.
and with Lean In, and
Oh
through
wow.
that networking and everything, that's why I was here in DC this weekend. I'm pretty involved with the Mission Continues, which is a veteran community service-based organization. And yeah, so I find ways to stay connected to my veteran community, especially with my veteran sisters who are my heart and soul. And so I find that kind of keeps me connected with the community.
Mhm.
But yeah, I miss the sense of purpose. When you're in the military, there's a great sense of purpose, and sometimes it's the civilian sector is a little ambiguous. And so yeah, but that's really what I miss. I miss the people more than anything. I miss the adventure because being in the military, I have so many stories and so many great adventures. But I think more than anything, I just miss the sense of being in an organization and group where everybody is on track with the same mission and it's very
Yeah.
purposeful.
I love that. I love that. I can hear I can feel that because just even in life in general, I believe that we all are looking for like what's the purpose or the higher meaning
Yes.
for me being here at some point, as
Yeah.
you are going through life, that
Mm-hmm.
begins to matter. Absolutely. I can remember in my younger years, I didn't even think about like I just lived each day. And then
Mm-hmm.
when I had a kid, um, it life just took on an entirely different meaning altogether. So
Yeah.
I heard you say you're a mother.
Yes. Yes. I'm a mother. I have a 34-year-old son,
Yeah.
JJ. Yep. Yep. And, so I have that too. That's an important role.
Cool. Yeah, boys. I love being a boy. My son is 32, Richard. So that's pretty
Hmm.
cool. That makes me wonder if we're about the same
You
age.
probably are, I'm sure.
Well, let's see. Let me ask you. So your name, we were talking about names. Your name is Elise. Am I saying it right?
Salamone.
Is
Yeah,
it
it's
Elise?
Elise. It's
Okay.
Elise. It's Elise.
I'm a
So
particular about the names for
yeah,
real.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I totally get that. So Elise Salamone is my previous married name that I've had for a very, very, very long time. So in my professional circles and in my business circle, that's what I'm known as. But a year
mhm.
ago, I got married to my husband Murray. And thank you, thank you. And a lot of my friends that are on social media know him as Instamer because he loves goofing around when we're on vacation. And so I changed my name to Fernandez Payne. Fernandez giving honor to my maiden name and Payne being his name. And what I realized is as someone that has all these different identities, that if I change everything to Fernandez Payne, all the PR, all the articles, everything that I have done for the last 20 years almost gets wiped away.
Yeah.
And even though it's confusing, I think most women can relate, especially if you own a business and you've had dual names. And I'm like, well, hell, if the Hollywood actresses can have dual names, why can't I?
I know that's right. You can do whatever you like. It's your business.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, you did. And those that don't understand, then they probably never will.
Yeah.
I
So,
love I love that. So
yeah.
speaking of name, so would it be Elise Salamone Fernandez Payne, or are you gonna drop Salamone altogether?
I probably will drop Salamone at some point altogether, like my nursing licenses and my driving license and my personal credit cards are all in my new name, Fernandez Payne, but my business stuff is still all under Salamone.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, speaking of business, So the transition here or segue. Your
Mhm,
name of your business is the Entrepreneur Source. How did
mhm.
that name come about? What does that name mean?
That's a actually great question. So the Entrepreneur Source is actually a franchise. So it's not the name that I came up with, it's the name of the franchise. And what we do, it is a coaching network that helps and empowers clients to learn about business ownership as a vehicle of success. But that business ownership is particularly through franchising. So
Mm,
what we do is provide a lot of education and awareness of the franchise world and how clients can leverage those business models to do something for themselves. So that's essentially what I do in a nutshell.
mhm.
Yeah, my services are complimentary. So the client never pays, there's never any money exchanged between us. So it's our business partners because I work with over 200 different business partners,
Oh wow.
200 different franchises. If a client moves forward with one of those franchises, and that partner pays my fees on the back end. So kind of
Oh,
like a real estate agent, executive recruiter, you have a partnership, you find that person for them, and then they on the back end, that partner pays your fees.
oh wow. Okay. That
Mhm,
sounds pretty cool. And it's a coaching network. That's interesting.
mhm.
Say more about coaching network. I think that's the first time I'm hearing that term. What does that
So
really?
yeah, so it's just, when you think about as an organization, the Entrepreneur Source has multiple franchise owners and business owners that
Mm-hmm.
are that we work in this coaching methodology, and we're all considered career ownership coaches. So it's a network of it just means that it's just the organization and the people that are doing the work are, that's our network. Like for Hello 7, we as coaches are a network of coaches, right? That
Right.
we all finish the certification and so forth. So that's all that. It's just language, but
Oh,
it's you know, we all come we all come in the entrepreneur source. The coaches all come from very, very, very diverse professional backgrounds and industries, and we're primarily uh, franchise business owners. But what we do, the
oh,
work that we do within the franchise of the entrepreneur source is that we're coaches.
I got it. And what made you decide to take join the coaching network of Entrepreneur Source?
That's a great story. So I had three jobs after I retired from the Air Force in 2014.
Okay.
And in my third job, I was terminated after 15 months of working in this organization, and it was very unexpected. And
Mm,
at the time, I had been working with a coach through the Entrepreneur Source, and because I knew at that point I had been out of the military for about 6, 7 years,
yeah.
and actually maybe not that long. So it was 20. So yeah, about 4 years, almost 5 years. And I loved my nurse practitioner work, but I was just feeling really, really restless. And I was really tired of having someone own my schedule.
Yeah.
And that was driving me to start looking at other opportunities where I can control my schedule. And the
Hmm.
reason why that was such a big thing for me and the flexibility, and granted, I've been in healthcare since I was a candy stripers, since I was a teenager. So I've
Wow.
always had that kind of schedule. I was always working on a hospital schedule.
Mm,
And so I got really tired of that, especially as I kept getting older. And the thing is that I do a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot of public speaking in like the Lean In organization at the time, and I was doing a lot of work with the veterans, different veteran organizations, and networking. And a lot of that stuff sometimes would collide with my work schedule.
well, yeah.
And my supervisor would always be like, "Oh, you're taking time off again," and I'm like, yeah, but I'm still doing my job,
Yeah. So back off.
you know? Yeah. So, actually what happened when I got let go from that position, it was a godsend. And I think you have to kind of be careful sometimes what you ask for, because I
Mm,
was struggling with this decision to move on to become a business owner. And I was struggling with the fact that I felt very loyal to the organization. I felt loyal to the team I was managing because I was there as a manager and a leader, and then also seeing patients a couple times a week. which I love. My heart is, as a nurse practitioner, that's really my love. I love working with women. I love taking care of women. I love empowering women. And when I got let go, I called Murray first. He was the first person I called to let him know what was going on. And of course, he was shocked. I was shocked. But the second person I called, the second person I called was my coach, Susan. And I said, well, I'm going to move forward with this opportunity. I have no idea where this is going to go. I have no idea if I'm going to be successful, but I can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, which is working in these organizations that I felt very undervalued and very underappreciated or unappreciated for all the work I was doing. Because let me tell you, even though I was doing public speaking and I was working with these veterans, I was still working my butt off in that organization. And I was creating a lot of different programs. I was creating change. I was being a mentor and coach to, to my staff. And that wasn't appreciated because, frankly, as a woman, and then you put a veteran woman, and then you put a woman of color, and I'm just going to be honest, my supervisor was very intimidated by me. I think she thought I wanted her job.
Absolutely.
And I didn't want her job, and I think in leadership, when women are in leadership, sometimes you have to be careful, because if she would have been an emotionally intelligent leader, she would have partnered with me to continue to do the work that I was doing. And she would have leveraged my talents
Absolutely.
to continue to improve operations and training and the teams that we had. Instead, she got intimidated because I was just frankly just doing my job. I was just doing my job,
Well, us women of color, we do make it look easy, so everybody else
Yes,
thinks
we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Just go and brush your shoulder off. They didn't deserve you in the first place.
And I don't know if you've watched there's a Zig Ziglar documentary, and in that documentary, I wish I could remember the gentleman's name, but he says, go stay with where you are appreciated, not just barely tolerated. And that saying has stuck with me, because here I am as a very experienced, high-level professional that was, running circles around this person. And I was just doing my job. And instead of leveraging the work I was doing, you get intimidated. And I'm like, come on, this doesn't even make any sense,
It doesn't. And I've had it happen to me more times than I can count. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Your ego gets a little bruised, but my ego wasn't really bruised. I was just a little bit of shocking me the way it happened, because it was all very sudden. But in hindsight, like I said, I think it was God pushing me off the ledge, because I was struggling with this decision to leave that position so that I could start a business. But it's scary starting a business. And everyone in my family has very traditional careers. My mom's a nurse, my sister's a lawyer, my other sister's does accounting. Excuse me, my brother-in-law is a ER doctor. Like everyone around me has very traditional careers. And here I was with 2 masters. I had a full military career, and I was thinking about starting a business. And it's like, who the hell am I to start a business? I don't know anything about starting a business,
Right.
So it was
going.
Go ahead.
How's it going?
Okay. So, I did the Hello 7 coaching program with you, certification with you. And I did that really to learn more about business, because I felt that there was a need in my background to understand how a business works. Here's the beauty about a franchise. A franchise gives you a checklist. They have a product, they have a service, they have marketing in place, and you follow a system. And I'm a nurse plus a veteran, so I know how to follow systems. I know how to follow checklists.
Right.
And then you learn the business. But one area that was lacking for me sometimes was how to really understand sales cycles, how to really understand, and not doing interpersonal relationships, because I have a very strong, that's a zone of genius for me. I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
But, I've had success. I've impacted many clients' lives. I have to be honest, have I reached my financial goals? I haven't. However, what the business has done for me, it has created a balance in my life that I've been able to do other things and fulfill other things that I'm interested in, where I'm not just tied to one particular thing. And that's the thing, when you're a multi-dimensional person and you have all these things that you're interested in, I don't want to be pigeonholed into one thing. because in the military, I'm used to moving around every 3 years. I'm used to changing jobs every 3 years. And even in my civilian career as a nurse, before
Mm-hmm.
I joined the military, every couple of years I was getting a new job because I wanted to do something different. I wanted to learn something different. So, you know, having the ability to run a business, impact clients, and still do things that I'm interested in has been very gratifying, and it has been very fulfilling. And I've learned and grown so much as a professional and as a
Yes.
business owner in the last 5 years, that I would never have gotten by going to school to get an MBA. And that's all
Yeah.
priceless. That's priceless.
Yeah. I believe being a business owner, you definitely get a lot of on the job training, multiple,
Yeah.
wear multiple hats, practically
Yeah.
all of them. If you know,
Yeah.
if you're just starting out and you don't get that framework, and like you said, with us joining
Mhm.
Hello Seven, that's exactly why I joined too. I
Yeah.
wanted a framework and to understand really, like, what does this really need to look like? Does it all just have to be like a bootstrap type of thing? Can I
Mhm.
get what's the framework? Because I want to be able to serve other women in that capacity as well.
Absolutely.
To be able
Absolutely.
your
Absolutely.
yours sounds really like a great mesh to
Mhm.
partner, to have gotten the business framework, and then
Mhm.
also the product offering that has the checklist and everything that you can follow, because you need that.
Mhm.
Because figuring it all out ain't where it's at. You
No.
get tired
No.
real.
No. Yeah, and this is why I am so passionate about franchising, because I'm like, man, what a great system and framework. If you want to own a business, but you have no reference point, you don't have that big, great, grand idea.
Yeah.
And this is where I get really passionate, because when I have a client and I'm taking them through this journey and their light bulbs moments start happening, it
Yeah.
is so exciting. It is so exciting to just see that change and see them getting empowered and helping them see the possibilities. And I
Mhm.
always tell them, as a coach, I say, listen, choose your hard. Working for someone else is hard. Being a business owner is hard. This is not like winning the lottery where you do nothing and get all this. It's going to take some work. It's going to be a lot of ups and downs, but it's yours. It's your baby. And the amount of work that you put into it is what you're going to get back. It's not like when you're working for a corporation and you could be working 60, 70 hours, you could be traveling 75 of the time, and your salary is capped. And
Mhm.
your boss may be getting all the credit for the work you're doing. You're not the amount of dedication and loyalty and work that you're doing towards a company. You're not really getting any kind of return, not return on investment, but you're not getting any legacy out of that. You're not getting, once you leave that company, or if you get let go, or you get terminated or whatever, that's it. You walk away and you have not built, um, um, there's nothing that, oh my God, I'm totally blanking out of the word that I'm trying to think of. But
Well, so what does that journey really look like when you work with a client?
mhm.
Um, I think of, because I'm coaching, so I think of like
Yeah.
programs, but is once they make a decision and they select a franchise, does the relationship with you continue? What does that kind of look
Oh
like?
yeah, that's such a great question. Okay, so here's the journey. I reach out to a client, and they can be from LinkedIn, resumes, networking, whatever, and they are in generally in some form of career transition, whether they got let go, they're burned out, they want to change the industry, they want to do something new, they got terminated, and a lot of times they've been looking for work for a long time, and they're like, I'm not finding work, or I'm
Right.
getting I'm getting offers that I'm not happy or interested in. So then I
Hmm.
come in, and basically it's a couple of phone calls or Zoom meetings. And I always start with, tell me your origin story, because I want to understand their background. I want to understand, how did they get to where they are now? What was their family situation? What did they want to do when they grew up? And this from coaching, is understanding that origin story really gives you a lot of information and a lot of insight into the client and how they work and how they think and how they got into career. One of my favorite questions is, what's your zone of genius?
Yeah.
Which Rachel, we talked about in our coaching program, but I already knew about that because I love that book, The Great Leap. So we talk about that, the zone of genius versus the zone of excellence, and how we can implement that. How can we take your transferable skills and the things that you like to do and make it something so that you're actually making money and also happy and being fulfilled? I talk a lot about generational wealth because a lot of my favorite clients are women, particularly women of color, even men of color, that I've been working, but they really are not seeing any built in their generation or their legacy. And then once I have all that information, I also have them fill out a couple of worksheets.
Mm-hmm.
We do a DISC assessment, so we kind of go over that.
Oh,
And the
great.
DISC, yeah, so the DISC, as you know, just kind of helps you understand how the client is both professionally and naturally. How do they communicate? What are their how do they function in the world, really?
Yeah.
So we go through that, and then I take all that information because basically I'm collecting information, and then I start looking at our different partnerships of franchises and seeing which franchise can help the client meet their goals. And some of the goals that my clients have are, one, they want to change industry, but they have no experience in that industry. And sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times, they have no idea what they want to do. So then I
Absolutely.
start opening their minds, because now I'm learning about them. And then usually not because I've been doing this for so long, as they're talking and telling me their story and telling me about their zones of genius, excellence, their experiences, I start writing down business models that I think may be a good fit for them to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, or whatever their goals are, whether they want to put their kids to work, because right now, a lot of things that's happening is a lot of families, they have college graduated kids and the kids aren't finding jobs.
Mm.
So that's a thing where let's say someone like me, I'm 57, I have an adult child, he's having a hard time. Yeah. Having a hard time. Yeah, having a hard time finding a job. And I'm not just talking about a job, but a job that can actually provide a living wage and that is going to fulfill
Right.
them and something that they can build into the future. So I've had a lot of clients that are in that mindset. It's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do to help my son, even though I help my child, excuse me, even though I'm getting ready, I'm at the tail end of my career. So they may not want to run the business, but they have maybe the spouse. And I have a story about this. The husband was a veteran. He had a really big security job, but
Yeah.
his wife had been a stay-at-home mom, and now there was really no kids. And all his adult children's, because of different reasons, were living at home. He's like, I got to put these kids to work.
I know
Because they
that's right.
were, yes. And they have a thriving business now. They have a thriving business
I
now.
love that. And
Yeah.
it's a family owned business at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Me,
Yep.
I
Yep.
helped I was actually married into a family which came later, but I helped a family business also. The brothers wanted to turn that small family business into a franchise. So
Mhm.
we turned their business actually into a franchise.
I love it. Can you
Yeah.
say what it is?
It's a barbecue business. They've been in business for over 80 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
And years
That's
later,
amazing.
we were married and we started our own business. And,
Mhm.
you know, most people know my story. It just didn't work out. It really, really
Okay.
didn't work out. But it helped me find my calling, which was
Okay.
coaching. I had been doing over 30 years. And now I also have a vision to bring to life from that. Also in the in the food and beverage space. So more about that maybe later. But
I love it.
that's pretty cool. So what's that saying is, so if your ideal client is potentially looking for leaving want to leave a legacy,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
that franchising could be one of
Yeah.
the better ways to go
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah.
already there for you,
Yeah.
and you leverage their strengths and how they show
Mhm.
up in the world to find out what are the best opportunities for them in a
Yeah.
franchising space.
Yeah. So let me just finish telling you. So once we introduce them so then what happens is I introduce them to the different business models that I think they would be interested in learning about, because I really focus on, and the entrepreneur source as an organization really is focused on education and awareness, which is why we use coaching methodology to help people learn about business ownership. is
Mm-hmm.
that I introduce them to the franchise developers of the brands that they want to learn about. Usually we start with 3 and let them, because it's like getting, I tell clients, if you do it well and you do this journey right, you will feel like you have a mini MBA in franchising by the time you're done, because you're going to get a lot of education, a lot of knowledge, and you are going to have to spend some time on it, because if you're going to make this choice to move forward and become a business owner, you really need to understand all the moving parts. What are you getting
Right.
yourself into, and so forth. And then I continue to guide them through that journey. But then it becomes a real big team effort, because now I'm working with a franchise developer. I'm working with the funding partners. I'm working with the client. I'm working with the spouse of the client, if they're, generally if they have a spouse and they're getting involved, and I get
Mm-hmm.
to know the kids, and, so it's a whole thing.
Really?
Yeah. And then, at some point, the client will come to a point of clarity, which is they're either going to move forward with something, which is very exciting, or they decide they're not ready. They don't have the funding. They got another job. They got, they decide that, maybe I'm not ready to be a business owner. I don't want to be a business owner. But they didn't know that to begin with. So that's where the impact, comes in. So, yeah. So at that point, we still stay connected. All the clients that have moved forward with businesses, I still keep in touch with them and see how they're doing and see how they're thriving. And so it's pretty cool.
And I would imagine too, from what I recall, my limited knowledge about franchising, they help you to be successful. So they don't leave you just out there floundering.
No,
You get,
no. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And that's the thing that this is. So let me say this, since a lot of
Mhm.
people are hopefully listening. Franchising is just a proven business model. It is not a business or an industry.
Wow.
Franchising can be, as a proven business model, can be applied to any business model that can be duplicatable. When you think about this, think about the National Football League. That's a
Mhm.
franchise. Think
Yeah.
about the Harry Potter novels. That's a
Right.
franchise. Think about, people think of franchising, they think of 7-Eleven, they think of McDonald's, but
Yeah.
franchising is way bigger and wider and impactful than that. There's hundreds of different industries that are covered in franchise. But franchise, again, Rachel's program can very easily be a franchise. Could
Franchise.
very easily be a franchise. She has a certification program, a coaching program that is very duplicatable. She teaches them, and then people move on to run their business. So I always want to make sure I tell it, because I think people have they don't understand franchise, and they think of franchising as an industry, but it's not an industry. It's just a proven business model that you can duplicate into
That's
different
really good.
businesses.
I'm taking notes over here, by the way. If you see me with my head down,
Oh yeah, I saw you. I saw you, girl.
this is good stuff. Oh, wow. Okay. So that is in itself, franchising is a proven business model. Wow. So is there anything else you want to share around franchising and the entrepreneur source?
So here's another thing for people to know is that if you are wondering, well, how do you fund a business? How do you invest in a business? Because a franchise model is a proven business model, it's actually easier to get funding, because it's not like you're doing a brand new startup where that
Okay.
business model has not been proven yet.
Okay.
So there's a benefit of that. The other benefit of franchising is that you have a built-in community of owners that share experiences and share knowledge. So you're starting a business. So here's another tagline for franchising: is you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. There's a
Ooh,
lot of
that's
support.
good.
Yeah. There's a lot of support, a lot of systems out there to help you. And, are you going to be successful? Can they guarantee your success? No, because you still have to do the work. You still have to
Absolutely.
do the work. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's still on you. I
Yeah.
like that. I love that. What
Yeah.
who are you seeing who are the ideal clients when it comes to franchising? I heard you say people that are in career transition, they know that they want more. Is there anyone specifically that you're looking for if they would know just call you and say, "Hey, I need
I
you."
think I think anyone that's interested, curious, and a lifelong learner, but
Mhm.
someone that's interested as a business to become to they're interested in business ownership but don't know where to start,
Mm-hmm.
that is an ideal client for me because I can provide them all the education and support so they can learn what they need to learn about how to run a business and how to be a business owner through the franchise model. Right now, what I did about 2 quarters ago, I told our call system that I wanted to focus on women,
Yeah.
particularly people. I wanted to focus on women and I wanted to focus particularly on people of color because I want to change the demographic across the business world. And the only way that we are going to get there where there's more diversity in business is by
Mhm.
creating our own table. You can't get a seat on the table. You need to create your own table,
On
right?
damn table. I
You
love
need
it.
yeah,
Yes.
you need to blow everything up, and if you're going to do this, you need to go all in. So the other thing that people need to understand that whether you're starting a startup or a franchise, you need to have some form of investment. You need to have some way to fund this. So we talk a lot about funding, having a decent credit score. If you're a veteran, your 401, there's veterans discounts. You could do a 401k rollover. There's different ways that you can fund a business. It's not, you can do an SBA loan. And we
Mhm.
go through all that. We go through all that education so that people understand what are the different funding options so that they can make the best choice for them if they decide to move forward with anything.
What realistically, everybody wants to know about the dollars and cents. What
Mhm.
realistically is the baseline that you need to be able to invest your own investment that you need to bring to
I,
the table?
you
Or does
know, it
it,
goes from, it can, That's such a hard question because it depends on the business model. It depends how you want to scale it. It depends on the territories you want to invest in.
Mhm.
So, it could be anywhere from, 50 to a million, over $1 million. It just depends on what the business model is. And it depends on what kind of investment you want to make as far as, I have, well, sometimes people want to be empire builders where they want to leave corporate America altogether, but they want to build an empire. So they will buy multiple territories, or they decide that they want to buy. We've had some exciting stories of particularly women of color that decide to buy more than one business. They'll buy an elder care service business, and then they'll do something with children because they love children, and they'll do something in the children's space. And that's the thing. There's 45 right now. We cover something like 40 to 40, 45 different industries. So there's things in for
oh wow.
child care services, elder care services, education, training, a lot of real estate and like renovation, property management stuff. So generally I have the pet industry is huge, a lot of stuff in the pet
Yeah,
industry. So there's a lot of different options out there. I just encourage people that are interested to work with somebody that is going to educate you versus saying, "Oh, here's a list and you figure it out," because that's not the ideal situation, and that's why sometimes people may get themselves into situations that probably are not going to put them on a path to success because they didn't really get the guidance. It's kind of like coach. This is why we have coaches, right? This is why we have mentors,
absolutely.
is to help answer your questions from an educated person so that we can guide you to make sure that you're getting the information you need so that you can critically think because you don't know what you don't know, right?
Absolutely. That's the key right there, that critical thinking. And
Hmm.
it gives you the support, the nurturing that you need to realize
Yes.
that you don't have to go through it alone. I think the big thing about this too, if those that are just tuning in, I see a couple more folks have tuned in, is that the franchisor pays the fee. So they're getting your coaching
Mhm.
services for free, and you're walking them down and
Mm.
educating them on all of it as you
Yeah.
go. This is
Yeah.
really
Yeah. And I tell clients, I said, listen, I'm not a salesperson. I'm an educator. That's really my background as an educator. I like to empower clients. And what you do with that information is up to you. But when I work with my ideal client is someone that's going to do the work. Because that tells me if they do the work with me, then they're going to find their own success within whatever brand, whatever career or vehicle of success they decide to choose. Because again, choose your
choose your
heart.
own. Absolutely. And so your ideal client is a woman, ideally a woman of color, a
For my
lifelong
business, yes, yes, a
lifelong
lifelong
learner.
learner.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
And then they're going to do the work. You ready to go to work. And
Yeah.
woman and lifelong learner. That's how we're made up anyway.
Mhm.
We came to get busy and to do the work, and they're gonna reap the
Yeah,
fruit of their labors. And
absolutely.
theirs, building that legacy. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. You said
Mhm.
something that really caught my attention. When you mentioned that you got to make your own seat at the table, and we've got to disrupt some things.
No, I said you need to make your own table because
Make
we can't
right.
keep waiting. You need to create your own table because we
Create
can't
your
keep
own
waiting
table.
to get, yeah, we can't keep waiting to
Absolutely.
get a seat at the table because certain people don't want us to get a seat on the table. And that's why you could be working at a corporation for 10, 15, 20 years and giving them the best years of your life and the best work. And you're never going to get that promotion. You're never going to get that six-figure salary that you're striving for.
Say
So, choose your heart. I can't stress that enough. Choose your heart. And if you want something, you're going to have to do the work for it, but you need to put some energy into it because I can give you all this information and educate you and coach you, but if you don't implement and you don't actually do your own work,
right.
it's not going to happen. It's not going to
Absolutely.
happen.
Absolutely. And just for the record, even though women are her ideal client, she still serves men. So don't
I
get it
take care. Yeah, my ideal client is really anyone that's ready to create change in their lives. That's really my very ideal client. I love working with men, and most of my clients are actually men. But right now, after working with Rachel and Hello Seven, I just feel like there's also a need for women to understand that you don't have to stay in places that you're unappreciated. You can be a business owner, and I think with men, they sometimes don't need as much coaching because they're risk takers. They're
right.
they're they're a little bit bigger risk takers than women are, especially when it comes to finances and investments. And women sometimes have to be coached a little bit differently. We have to really make sure that they are realizing their own power in creating change in their lives. But with my male clients, sometimes I don't, they're so burned out and they're so tired that they're like, I need to get the hell out of this and
Let's
I
go.
need to do something. I need to change at something because this isn't working for me any longer, and I'm burnt out, I'm frustrated, whatever the situation may be. So yeah, the entrepreneur source, as coaches, we work with everyone. It's really, are you willing to do the work? Are you wanting to do the work? And are you ready to learn? Because this is whatever time you invest, you're going to get it tenfold because if you're investing the time and you're doing the work, I will continue to coach you, cheer you on, champion you, advocate for you. I will be there for you. But I need to understand that if I'm going to work that hard for you, then you need to be working that hard for yourself.
I know that's right. You can't want it more for them than they want it for themselves.
Amen, sister. Amen.
I get
Amen.
that. We were talking about disrupting and creating your own table. And so because I am the disrupt her coach, I need to know, what have you had to disrupt in your own life?
Ah, that is such a great question. That is such a great question. I think what I needed to disrupt in my life was that after serving the military for 27 years and being in healthcare for 30 years, that I couldn't keep doing the same thing over again and not understand that I needed to do something very, very different and really pivot in order to find that path that's out there for me. Because
Mhm.
listen, I am a very highly educated woman. I've had lots of accomplishments, but I was continually working for the same type of organizations and feeling frustrated, burnt out, and not appreciated for the intelligence I brought to the table, for the leadership I brought to the table, for the work I was doing. And, like people saying, they're intimidated by me. And I'm like, what is it to be intimidated about? I'm here to do work, you
Right.
know, leverage my skill sets and my hard work and my ethics and my experience because I'm ready to sit down and do the work and I'm going to do great work for you. But if you hire me to be a leader and an educator, then let me do the damn work. Don't sit there and try to micromanage me because I don't need a micromanager. I'm 57 years old. I've
Yeah,
served in combat. I'm a
absolutely.
military leader, you know?
Big time. And they
Yes,
knew that when they hired you. So
they
that
did.
yeah,
Yes,
that's
they did.
a
Yes, they did. Yeah.
lot.
And that's another whole conversation, because I think as women veterans and veterans in general, we get pigeonholed into, the different implicit biases that people have of military officers, military enlisted folks. And they hire us because they're a veteran friendly company. But once they get in the company, that's
Yeah.
it. Nobody coaches you, nobody mentors you to kind of, for not only just learn the company culture, because now you're going from a military culture to a civilian culture, but they don't support the empowerment of really helping that veteran that's just coming out of service to
Yeah.
actually really thrive and do good work. Because listen, military people that are coming out of service are some of the hardest working, most innovative, intelligent people I know. You
Absolutely.
don't have to baby them, but they need to be taught and mentored so that they can understand this new civilian culture, your new corporation culture, or even whatever new job they're getting into, because that's how we work in the military. In the military, no matter where you go, when you come in as a new lieutenant or a new private or new enlisted, you have a mentor and a preceptor that's going to guide you to make sure that you understand the job that you need to do, so that you understand the expectations of you as that new employee in the organization, so that
Yeah.
way you can thrive. You can
Absolutely.
thrive. And that's how you keep retention. That's how you keep good employees. That's how you keep a good culture. And why don't corporations or organizations don't understand this? It's just, to me, it's so simple. And I can get really passionate about this, but I'm like, this is really simple, basic human needs. Maslow hierarchy of needs. Take
Yep.
care of the basics, let people know that you actually care about them, mentor them and support them, and you will have a great culture and a great organization. It doesn't matter what you're doing. One of the things I tell clients too, I was like, when they're scared about hiring people and having employees, I was like, what kind of culture do you want to provide in your company? You're leaving a corporation because it was a toxic work environment and you were not appreciated. The
Right.
reason why people don't stay in jobs is because of that kind of culture. So now it's up to you to create a culture where you mentor and coach people so that they become loyal employees.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, I can get on the bandwagon with that.
Okay. And I'm just going to let you go. That's what we came here for. This is an amazing conversation. I believe that some people are going to reach out. Their lives are going to be changed. Stick with us. We will be telling you all the ways that you can contact Elis. I know this is fire. We got to blow this up. If this is not for you, as you're tuning in and you're listening in, you know what to do. You know, you need to share it with somebody else. Tell somebody else about Elis and the entrepreneur source, and how they are going to help them live the life that they want to live. Man, this is so rich, Elis. Oh my gosh. So what I'd like to do, so I get it. Man, I got chills over here talking to you.
I
Like
love I love it.
I love your energy and your passion, because it mirrors mine. You're a divine reflection of me, and I appreciate
Oh,
it a
I
thousand
love
percent.
I
A
love that.
1000%. So I'm going to switch gears just a tad, because I want to talk about a little personal stuff. I
Oh
want
yeah. Bring
to
it.
know who you are. So I'm gonna just drop a little light one in there, and maybe we'll get into some other things.
Yeah.
But what are some hobbies or interests that bring you joy?
Girl, I am a huge world traveler. I love to travel. But even more than traveling, I almost like planning the trip as much as I actually like going on it. I miss
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. My friends know me as the event planner. And I'll just tell you a little story. A few years ago, me and my girlfriends, we try to do a girls trip every year. And
yeah.
we were going to Savannah, Georgia. I literally did a PowerPoint with everybody's flight information, every I put pictures in there. I had all the information. And one of my girlfriends that was going on the trip, she goes, I think I want to marry you. I'm in love with you right now.
I know that's
Because we're all nurses, we're all military, retired military officers,
right.
except for one. And I just love putting trips together. And my husband, which is one of the things I love about him, he's just as bad as I am. Or it's actually something that we really bond over, is that we have a love for travel. I love to hike. I love being in nature. Hiking to get to a waterfall, to me, it's just so amazing. I actually just came back from a week trip to Utah, and we just did the national parks, and we hiked like 50 miles. It was insane. It was no, but it was beautiful. And if anyone loves hiking, like go to Utah because it is absolutely amazing. But with the military, I traveled a lot. I've lived in Korea, I've lived in Germany, I've lived in England. I was in Afghanistan for almost a year. So I just love to travel. I love cultures. I love tasting different foods. So
Yes.
that's probably my big thing. And you always see me, I'm a little bit of a fashionista. So I love clothes and fashion. Yeah, and I love to read. I have a problem with professional development. I need to stop.
Well, you did say you're a lifelong learner.
I
You love.
am. I am. I am.
So
I am.
talking about reading, that is another one of my questions that
Mhm.
love to ask. What are you reading? Let's
Ooh.
talk about
Mhm.
what you're currently reading, and then
Okay.
I'll ask additional questions.
Okay. So I'm reading The Financial Feminist right now because I'm trying to
Mhm.
understand investments and finances. I'm also reading David Goggins' book. If you read the first one, Can't Hurt Me. I'm reading the second one. What is the second one? Hold on, I'm trying. Never Finished.
Oh,
It's a little rough, but I
um,
love his
he's
story.
hardcore.
Yeah, yeah. So David Goggins right now. Oh, I just finished again for the second time Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. It's so good.
Love that.
Yes.
So you don't stick to one lane. It looks like you got a
Oh
lot of.
no, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. The Great Leap is one of my favorite professional development books. Oh, and for spiritual reading, I
Mm-hmm.
love Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver. She's
Outrageous.
outrageous openness.
What's that
She is
about? I haven't heard that one.
so okay. So here's to tell you a little bit about like my husband. So we were on our way to Mexico. He knows how I am because I'm very spiritual and affirmations and all that stuff. Horoscopes and all that stuff really fills me. And I was reading You're a Badass, I think is what I was reading. And we
Jen,
were on the beach. Yeah, yeah. So we were on the beach and he gives me his reader because he's a pretty big reader too. And he says, "You need to put that down because you're already a badass." He goes, "You need to read this book." He goes, "You're going to love this book."
I love it. I love that.
So I started reading Outrageous Openness, and it's about the universe and what you put out in the energy you put out in the universe. And she's just a great storyteller. And it's one of those books, if you're into this, that once you start reading it, you can't put it down.
I
And
love
she's
it.
funny, like she's funny the way she tells her stories, and she's kind of like a spiritual guru, kind of
What's the
hippie. I'm sorry, it's called Outrageous Openness, and Tosha Silver, Tosha. She also has a Facebook group. It's
okay?
about, it's just like affirmations. And, one thing I learned from her book is like, never say you're broke. Don't put that on the universe. It's all about abundance,
Mm.
the gift of abundance. And actually, she tells a lot of stories to get her point across. And one story that kind of stuck out to me is that, she had a client that was just stuck. She had just gone over through a really ugly divorce.
Yeah.
And she had this carpet that was in her house that it just had bad energy from the divorce and her husband or whatever.
Mm.
And Tosha was like, "You're never going to get over and move forward because you're so stuck in that energy, and you need to get rid of that damn carpet that has brought you so much misery because of your marriage." So of course, she finally gets rid of the carpet, and then everything like just like starts, all this
Woo.
good stuff starts happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll love it because you're a spiritual person. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good book. I love it. I always recommend it to all my girlfriends and to anyone that kind of reads it. But my husband had read that, and he was like I said, he just knows me so well. And we were in Mexico for a week. I literally stayed up till like 2 o'clock in the morning. I finished staying in it like a couple days.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
When you don't even want to put it down, you're just like, I'm gonna keep.
No,
I
no. Yeah, 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 yeah.
love that. So, what book would you say changed your life the most?
Oh gosh, that's a hard question.
Is it?
It is a hard question because I read so much and I read so many different things. Um, I would say recently in the last couple of years, a client recommended, well, you know what? No, I'm going to go back. I'm going to say that Rachel Rodgers' book, we should all be millionaires, changed my life. And the reason I say that is because I got introduced to this beautiful network of amazing, powerful women business owners that are just all complete badasses. And that book changed my life because I don't think that took my coaching to a different level. I've met some amazing, amazing women. I did the coaching program. And even though I haven't started my own like coaching practice, that was never really my intention when I did the program. It was to just really understand business. And I learned a lot from that book and how she sees the world and you know, creating safe spaces for diverse voices to be in business and to all of that. So I probably would say the most recent that has changed my life is probably Rachel's book right now.
We should all be millionaires. I would concur. Rachel herself, just seeing her operate in her zone of genius and watch her build her business in real
Mm-hmm.
time with us and being able to go
Yeah.
behind the scenes and all of that. I would concur with that one. That's one of
Yeah.
them for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is so doggone rich. Like, oh my gosh, I love it. Um, what let me see what else I got on here. So that takes care of that one. Um do I got so many. They're so rich. Oh, I got one more. What
Okay.
meaningful lessons or insight have you gained being a retired military combat veteran?
Wow. I, you know, when I went to Afghanistan, it was 2011, and I already had been in the military for over 20 years at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest lessons I learned in Afghanistan was that I am so resilient
Yeah.
and that I really like myself. Because even though I made some mistakes out there and some poor
Yeah.
judgment calls on some things, I was able to implement all my nursing experience to create change for the pediatric population there, for the men on my camp, for the locals. And you know, I did it. I did it. I mean, when you join the military, especially for me, I joined as an 18-year-old, first one in my family to join the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but I understood the mission of the military, which is it's an educational and training organization, but the ultimate mission is war, is to, you know, protect our country and our nation and our freedoms. So when I finally got a chance to serve in that capacity and then come back from that, and you know, not only was I blessed that I was protected by the Lord, that I didn't get hurt, but that I survived that and thrived. That was a big thing. That was really a really pivotal moment, not just in my personal career, but
Yeah.
in my personal life, but professionally. Because man, I used every skill that I ever learned in nursing school or treated at a hospital. I was suturing because I was basically the camp doctor.
Mm,
I was in the middle of nowhere, and I saw some really horrific pediatric trauma.
yeah.
Um, and you know, I have stories and you know, people that served with me out there where there were some kids that if I hadn't been there, they wouldn't have survived. And I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of that impact that I made, and I'm proud of my career. My military career is probably the biggest highlight of my life.
I love that. And I agree with Murray. You're a badass. That part, period. Flat out. Yes. I
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
absolutely love that you said that you really like yourself because
Yeah.
I'm in the empowerment space. I'm all about self-love and the women that I'm called to serve, right? They don't do that yet, right? They
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
do that. And I think loving yourself is great, but I think the highest compliment is to like yourself.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I was married. My husband, my second husband, he died, and I loved him, but I liked him more.
Amen. I
And
love
this
that.
is so different. It's so
Yeah,
different. Yeah,
it really is.
yeah, for you. It really is, right? Because you can do
Absolutely.
that all day, every day.
Yep, yep,
I love
absolutely. And
Elise. Oh my gosh.
you know, I want to say something about that because that's how I feel about Murray. Murray and I dated for 10 years before we, you know, we were been together for 10 years this upcoming December.
Hmm.
But the thing about him is I love him dearly, but I like him. And my
Oh,
friends liked him. And when my friends liked him, I knew I was onto something because my friends are hardcore. And when they first met him, they were like,
who's this
he's a
dude? We
keeper.
like him.
Yeah,
And
he's a
then the
keeper.
thing is to know that they liked him for you.
Yes,
That's the big
yes,
that's a
yes.
big difference because people like people, but then do they like them for
Mhm.
you? That makes
Yeah,
a
that's another whole conversation because Murray's my
whole
third husband. So
oh my gosh. At least we got so much in common. I've been married 3 times.
yep. But you know
Okay.
what? I want to say this for all women and men that are out there
Yeah,
that, growing up Catholic, I was always had some shame over having a divorce and being married a couple times and all of that. But I was watching a Hispanic Latina appreciation, and one of the women on there, she was I think she was Colombian, and she was
yeah.
in the finance world, and she said, I used to have a lot of shame over being divorced and married 3 times. She goes, but what I realized, I changed my perspective and my mindset to say how lucky I am that I was loved that many times to actually have someone marry me and make that commitment. And again, that was like because I was like, God, how lucky I am that I've had those experiences of love, whether they hurt or heartbreak or whatever, because there's so many people in the world that sometimes go to their deathbed and never feel that, never feel love, never understand or know what it is to be loved,
Well,
So yeah.
absolutely. And I look at it also in that you did not allow those experiences to rob you, right? That
And
you were still open enough to receive the love because so many people get, their heart is hardened and it's
yes.
heavy, and so I'm ecstatic for you all. Hell, I'll get married again. It might be 4 times. I can,
Selena, so
I
I got to tell you something. One
yeah,
thing that I am known for among my family and friends is that I have such a resilient heart and
yeah.
I don't let stumbling things, failures, things that have happened to me keep me from living my best life.
I
I
know
never
that's
I use whatever trauma I've been through, whatever challenges I've been through to learn from that lesson and move on because life is short. And you
that's
can't let that trauma, you can't live in that trauma. You can't let that trauma completely engulf you to the point where you are stuck and not living your best life. Because all you're doing is re-victimizing yourself over and over and over again.
and they don't most people don't realize that, and to live in the past, you're robbing yourself of the present, this time
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely.
You are
And what a
such a
gift.
I
Thank
love
you.
you, girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what makes you such an amazing coach. I
Mm,
I
thank you.
can't, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm getting some energy vibes here. Entrepreneur source, I don't know. They better hold on to you because if you decide, because
Yeah.
there's so much in there that could marry for you, um,
Hmm.
to change the world for sure. I
Thank you.
fully see that. I totally see that. We got a number of folks here. We want to just say thank you for all being here. I see Carol, Monty, Lakeisha, April, RS, and Art. I know your name. It's not coming to me. I know we went to high school together. One Vision, ERC. I see you there. Irene 2020, Miss Darlene Mesner. She's from our Hello 7 group too.
Yay.
Name. I see Monty. Monty is one of my brother's oldest, dearest friends. Thank you. Or Montrell, rather. I'm sorry. Don't shoot me, Montrell. He's the one that says that you are doing great. I'm going to take that meaning for you and for me. We'll
Yes,
receive
you're doing
that.
great.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Okay, I got one more, maybe two more questions. What
Bring it.
is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Mm. Not to give up, to if you have dreams, to just go for it and to not let don't, and this is going to sound terrible because we were just talking about love, But because I didn't grow up with a dad, I think I was very caught up in like, little boy crazy. And some of those experiences kind of, maybe pulled me away from living or really fulfilling my like highest dreams. That said, though, I've had a wonderful life. I've had accomplished a lot. But I think back then I was like, man, what about if I really focused on my education early on and, did all this other, but I don't know. I don't know. You know what? No, I'll take that back. You know what I would say to myself? It's like start saving money and stop spending money on junk.
That's a good one. Then
Yeah.
you can do whatever the hell you want. Real.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I would say, because I've been working since I was 12 years old. I should be a millionaire by now.
You are going to be a millionaire. That
Yes.
is
Yes.
no diggity, no doubt about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I
Well, I'm a
love it.
millionaire. I am a millionaire in spirit and in love and, in so many other ways, but you know what I mean.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it, Elise. You are. You are so rich.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Um, where can all of the beautiful people find you? Where are you?
Okay. So on LinkedIn, I am Elis Salamone, and it's Salamone. On Instagram, I'm 253 Wanderer. 253 is a local Tacoma area code, and Wanderer is because I'm a wanderer. I love to travel.
Oh,
And yeah, and on Facebook, I'm a little bit more skittish and I kind of have my securities up, but I'm under Elis Fernandez Payne.
okay. All right. And we're going to drop all that 411 in all of the captions where we're showing up live. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We'll also be on YouTube. So you'll find her in all of the faces and spaces under Disruptor Coaching, and also on her own page as well, which will be tied to ours, linked to ours, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
So Elise, that is just about all of the questions that I have for you. And then what I leave for my final question, and
Mm.
maybe we should take a sip of water because we've been talking now for over an hour. My final question for you is, do you have any questions for me?
Well, I am so curious because there was such an alignment in our energy. And I was like, and I think this is the first time you and I have really talked. So
Yeah,
we're going to have some more conversations. Some more conversations. I want to know more.
it's so crazy. We're both the same age. We're both boy moms. What
Hmm.
month were you born? I'm curious. What month?
I'm a Capricorn. I was born in January.
I was born in February.
Ooh, are you an Aquarius? Are you an Aquarius or a Capricorn?
I'm a Pisces. I
Oh,
was
you're a
born
Pisces.
in
That's why we
Pisces.
get along too. Pisces and Capricorns are simpatico.
Yeah. Yeah. So was that your question, or do you have a question for me?
Um, I honestly, and I'm going to tell everybody, I've been like on the go and traveling for the last 4 days. So I'm exhausted. So right now I'm like, my brain is like, I can't think of anything right now. And
Oh,
I
good.
feel
Don't feel bad. If there are no questions for
no.
me,
Oh, I got a question for you. I got a question. Where can we listen to your Disrupt podcast? Like what platforms are you on? And how long have you had the podcast?
I'm so this is my second podcast. My first one was called, I think it was called Selena's Jewels or Selena's Solutions. I did it for I think almost 2 years. This one I
Mhm.
was just I had stuff I needed to get out. It was all totally random. They're all on social media at the moment, but what I've been believing for is I'm going to also turn them into audio and put them on Apple, Spotify, and all of
Mhm.
those as well. So those were when I was just coming out of the marriage, and I needed to get a lot out, and I really hadn't figured out what I was doing and who I was called to serve and all those things. And now coaching conversations, we are on, and the others are the same too: Facebook, Instagram. LinkedIn is new for me, so only coaching conversations are on LinkedIn. Instagram, and then YouTube is where
I
you
love
can find, right? And I love the visual. I love to connect with people. I love the energy, and it was also my way of serving while I'm building the coaching practice. So, who I'm called to serve for the new audience, I'm called to serve Christian women that are struggling with who they are after cutting ties in narcissistic relationships to help them know their power and divine identity so that you can live a purposeful life on your own terms. That's who I specialize in serving. I've lived it, I've breathed it, and I've been called to help you know yourself and to fall in love with yourself. So that's who I'm called to serve. So,
This
yes,
is
ma'am.
why this is why we connected. This is why God put me in your path.
Yay. I love it. I love it. We are going to be such good friends. We got
Yes,
so much
we are.
going.
We have a lot in common.
I know. You're like 3 times, like, okay, this is a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
But this is what's so crazy. It's like, when you're in these programs, there's so much going on and so much information that you just can't, it's really hard to get to know everyone.
Absolutely.
And even though, I don't know about you, but even though I'm an extrovert, I'm also an introvert. And sometimes when I'm in that big energy group, I have to kind of like at the end of the day, I kind of need to like re-energize. And yes, yes, because
Yes.
I know you're very active in the community and I know your name, but and I remember what your purpose was, but I don't think I like knew much of your story at all.
Yeah. 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 And it was a lot happening, right? A lot of
Mm.
my shit was coming up while I was going through the program. So there was a lot going on.
Oh my God, I love you.
Yeah. Just showing up was, hey, I
Yeah.
show now, if
You
I'm
showed
not
up.
doing anything else, I'm going to be present.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to be present because that's one of my pillars in my framework. Because that's what I realized was happening, right?
Yeah.
In the dynamics and what I was going through, I wasn't present. I was either focused on the past or I was focused on the future because I'd been given this vision. And so it was driving me. So it was a lot. But I won't belabor that. We will talk about that at another time. I would love to have you back whenever there's anything new going on and you want to share. Absolutely, please feel free to come back. And let me just check and make sure there are no more questions before we get out of here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I don't see any there. Check over on LinkedIn. I think we are good. Fantastic. And Facebook, thank you. Montrell, we appreciate you for being here and listening in. All right. Well, that's our time. All of Elisa's 411 will be in the caption. So look for it. Reach out to her. You're going to love all of that good energy. We thank you for all of the beautiful gems that you dropped, sharing your story. I pray. I do this. Most people don't know this because I do it off camera. But we've prayed over her business. We call in abundance and healing and all of the good things and life-changing things that are going to happen for the clients that she is called to serve. So y'all get at her. That's our time. We just thank you for being here. Y'all go out into the world and be amazing and know that I love you. Talk to you soon. All
Thank
right,
you.
we're going to end on that one. We are ending on Facebook.